So, children, let us now learn how to name an organic compound or a hydrocarbon when functional groups are present, okay, or functional groups are attached to the carbon chain. So, as usual, let us now take an example. Let us start with a 4 carbon hydrocarbon. So now how many are there? 4, isn't it? Now let us assume, say that one functional group is attached to this particular carbon. So where will I start naming it from? It shouldn't be from left to right, that is forward, or it can be from right to left or backward, depending upon where the functional group attached is receiving the least number or the least position, isn't it? So if I start numbering, it would be, if I start from my left side, 1 2 3 4, and if I start from my right, or if I go backward, 2 3 4. Fine. So now, as usual, step one, first of all, identify the parent chain. So how many carbons? 4 carbons. So that's why the parent name is, root name is what? Bute. And all have single bonds. So that's why it's an A. But now this butane is having a functional group being attached. So what is that functional group attached? The functional group attached is what? Alcohol. And how do we read it as? We read it as ol. How do we read it as? Ol. Alcohol. Ol. So now, except halogen, the rest of the functional groups will be added as a suffix. Added as what? A suffix, that is after the root name or the parent name. So now, how to add, how to write the name. So when you are writing the suffix ol, what am I going to do is, I will remove the last letter e, that is in would be removed. So in place of that, I would be mentioning it as what? Ol. Okay, now the name is be what? Bute and ol, butanol. But then we have to even mention the position. If it was on the first carbon, we could have simply written as what? Butanol. But then the alcohol group is lying on which carbon? On the second carbon. So that's why it will be named as butane 2 ol, or we can also say 2-butanol. Okay, so this would be the naming of the this particular hydrocarbon. Fine. Similarly, we can also talk about, now I hope you could identify this particular functional group. Okay, children, so what is a functional group here? This is what? This is an aldehyde. This is aldehyde. And how do we how could I identify that it is an aldehyde? Here the carbon is attached to one hydrogen and an oxygen with a double bond. Okay, so CHO. Fine. So, and how do we read it as? We read it as al. So as I said, this functional group naming will be as a suffix. So first write the parent name, prop. Okay, propan, and I will remove the last letter A, E. Okay, so then propan plus al, propanal. So the name will be written as what? Propanal. Now keep in mind, children, you all already have learned that when we are writing the name, when we are writing a functional group, aldehyde group, it will be always lying on the end carbons. So usually there is no position we can say to be given for a aldehyde. It will always lie at the ends. So how would be written as? Simply we will name it as propanal, ethanol, butanol, as it is understood that it will be on the last carbon. Okay, children. Now let us see, take one more case with the 3 carbon atom only. Okay, carbon hydrocarbon. Now here let us place a functional group double bond O. So what is this functional group? This is nothing but one ketone. Okay, this is what? Ketone group. And how do we read it as? One. Now we know what is the condition for a ketone. It always lies on the middle carbon. In the sense, the carbon will be linked to two other carbon chains on the either side. Fine. So now, again, as usual, write the parent name, propan. Okay, I will remove the last letter e. So propan. Now how many carbons? 3. So therefore propan. Now let us identify the position. So 1, 2, 3. If I start from my left side, let me start from my right side. 1, 2, 3. So either way, you see that the position of the ketone group, functional group, is on the second carbon. So how do I write it as propan to own, propan to own, okay, or to propanone. Now observe these two children. If I write the formula, this would be C3 H. Okay, let me complete the structure. CH3, CH. Okay, any more further? No, let us count. CH2. Let us count for this carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's satisfied, no more H. So now, if I write the molecular formula, you see now how many? C3H6O. Observe this compound, children. Let us first complete the structure. CH3. Okay, will there be any H anymore? No, there won't be any H, because already this valency of carbon is satisfied. 1, 2, 3, 4. So come to this one, it is CH3. So see here, C3H6O. Now observe these two, they have the same molecular formula. So what do we call them as? These are nothing but our isomers. And what kind of isomers? Functional isomers. The only if suppose the structure is given, we can identify by the positioning of the carbon, whether this carbon is attached to hydrogen and one carbon, or it is attached to two carbons. Fine. And if the molecular formula is given, of course, then we need the physical and chemical properties to identify them. Okay, children? Yeah. So this is about how to place the functional group and how to write their particular name. But then if suppose you have an alkyl group and then a double bond or a triple ine or a ene group, then and a functional group, then how to name them? So then we need to follow an order of priority. Okay, so let me just take an example. We will take a 4 carbon hydrocarbon. Okay, so this is what a but compound. Okay, so let us assume that there is a double bond here and there is an alcohol group here. Okay, so and okay, so if that is the case, then what we should do? What is the order? Whom should we name first? Okay, before we proceed to it, let us just complete the structure. So this is CH2 because 2 already there. So 2 plus 2, 4. Here 1, 2, 3. So there were one more hydrogen. Here how many? 2. And here how many, children? 1, 2. So therefore already are there 2. Okay, now the question comes how to start naming. So in order to name, first I should go with a priority order. Okay, so what could be my priority order? First I will name the functional group. Okay, then followed by a should be first a triple bond, then followed by a double bond, then comes your alkyl group. Okay, alkyl group or any of the substituent. Okay, fine. Now when I say, but when we are writing in the name, your naming of the alkyl or the substituent will be as a prefix and the remaining will be as the suffix. Okay, so that will not be disturbed. Only the positioning we are going to follow this order. Okay, so now whom should we give the least number first? The functional group. So where will I start naming from? Yes, I will start from my right side rather than my left side. So let me start numbering from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here the functional group receives the least number. Okay, now let us start naming. So the parent name but. Okay, but. Then comes the naming. So but, what we have to write? But where is the position of the double bond between third and fourth? So but 3 in 1 but 3 in 1 all. Okay, so the naming would be but 3 in 1 all. Okay, children. So this is how the naming of a hydrocarbon with functional group or a double bond or a triple bond or a substituent is done. So